God bless you. Just want to thank you for tuning into the podcast on today, Grief in My Own Words. And today we have Kimberly Sangoros. She is my sister, and we are a family of six that makes of five sisters and myself. And we just like to welcome her on today. So can you briefly give us the background of yourself, your career?
Uh, I have been a nurse now for 27 years. I do also do counseling. Well, I was doing it part time until my mom got sick and I had to start caring for her, so I had to put that aside. But I have been a nurse for 27 years.
All right. Are you married?
Oh,
Children?
married. August will be 35 years. We have four daughters and two grandchildren.
All righty. So you're at 35 years, and I'm getting ready to go into 36 years then. So you was married in August, right?
August.
And Sharman and I was September the 8th, 1990. Hey, man, so we would have been celebrating 36 years. But and moving on, can you briefly give us the background of our mother, her health crisis, what led up to May 8th, 2026?
Probably in March. It was March of I believe 23. No, yeah, 23.
Okay.
March of 23. I remember it was on a Sunday, and I had came home from church and was cooking dinner, and it came in my spirit to call her. And I said, "Oh, I'll cook dinner and I'll call her afterwards." And I took a nap. As soon as I woke up, it came in my spirit to call her again. So I called her. And when I called her, she just seemed very confused on the phone. And she kept talking about where she was driving to. And I said, "Mama, where are you?" She said, "I don't know." And I said, "Stop. Okay, stop the car. Look at the streets. Do you see street signs?" So she started telling what the street signs that she saw. Me and my daughters got in one car, and I called my sister, and her and her husband got in another car. And we were able to find her downtown. And it was at that moment that we realized we had been suspecting that something was going on with her, but just not to that point. But it was at that point that we realized that something was wrong. And it was very difficult because she was such an independent woman especially after our dad died. She had been doing things on her own for a while. So coming in and trying to change things in her house as far as staying there with her because she couldn't remember things. She was very confused. At one point, we came over one day and she literally had just pretty much tore up the house because she was not sleeping. She was pulling things out. She had pots and pans everywhere. She had pictures everywhere. She had clothes everywhere. She had clothes nice clothes that she even threw in the trash outside. We could not even take the clothes out because she also dumped food in it, so there was maggots in there. So it was a whole process of this is not our mother. And then the sweet, 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 sweet woman that she was, we didn't see that anymore. Just totally changed. And so I think that was probably the most difficult part, was watching our mother change before our eyes, someone that we no longer knew. And I don't know.
Okay. So leading up, that's the first episode, which was in March.
Uh-huh.
Then after that, there would be several doctor's appointments,
Yeah.
several admissions to the hospital trying to find a diagnosis. And when you're dealing with a diagnosis like that, it's very hard to, what's the word I'm using to?
Because of dementia and Alzheimer's is really they really don't even kind of give the diagnosis until the person died, because that's when they can see it on the brain once they die. So,
but even during that time, who would go to the hospital, they would take scans of her brain. Her brain was just like perfect. It's perfect.
It's perfect.
So so
yeah, but it's nerve wracking.
But moving forward, the staves where different ones had to take turns to spend the night and to care for her, which turned into like a 24-hour total care. Yeah, total care.
Yeah, because then she had the next year, same time, March of the next year, she ended up having a stroke.
That's right.
And that was overwhelming right there. Because I can remember she had slipped out of the bed, and we took her to the emergency room. They said she was okay. And I remember my brother was the one who brought her back home. And my mother was always cold. And so he said, Mama was shaking so bad. She was so cold, I was trying to warm her up, and I put all the blankets on her. And I was like, oh, well, maybe she was, just really cold. And so we didn't think nothing of it. And then that night, I stayed with her. And I got up. We kept cameras in her room. And I got up to check on her, and she was shaking like that again. And I would say, Mama, why are you so cold? And even I'm a nurse, I still didn't even think, I'm just thinking she's cold. And I went to try to set her up, and she was shaking so hard that I almost slid her off the bed. And I remember having to call my brother, and I said, you got to get her fast. I'm about to drop Mama because she's sliding off the bed. And he got there and he helped me get her up. And we got her in the recliner. And after he left, it took a while for her to wake up. And then it hit me. She just had a seizure. I didn't because she's always been like that where she's so cold, we just thought she was shivering. But so I called my brother and I said, Brother, I think she had a seizure. And we called, Emerson came. And even after they took her to the emergency room, they knew something was wrong. Her blood pressure was real high. But every time they took this CT, they never could see the stroke. It wasn't until I think they took 2 more CTs, because she was still in considered critical, sitting in the ER room. The hospital was packed, but they could not move her. There was no room. And it was like the second or third CT that they finally saw that she had the stroke, but she had passed that time of them giving her the medications because you have a set time to give the medication if you think someone is having a stroke. So then she ended up septic. That whole period, Mama should have died in between that time. She was that bad. She ended up septic, which is blood. You have an infection in your blood. And it was just that whole period just seemed like, I don't know, it was like sucking the air out of us.
Right. Yeah, because you had actually four girls, and myself.
Yeah.
The other sister was
in out of state. Uh-huh.
So we was rotating during the mornings and during the night. So mother, she got to the point, she didn't want nobody else to cook her food but me. so
Brian did it though, y'all.
So here, I'm taking care of Charmin, so I'm going back and forth, it's like ping pong.
Yeah.
But I guess moving forward, when I guess her last 6 months, we'll go there. Yeah. Her last 6 months, the meals began to get slower.
Yeah, she lost her appetite.
Right.
Because God had healed her before, right before her, 12 days before her 80th birthday.
Right.
God healed her and she got better. She started walking. She started eating. The peg tube was removed, everything. Right. And then the 6 months before she died was when she started declining, where she didn't want to eat. And I remember she would only eat cherry pie. If you fix that cobbler pie, I say, don't matter if she eat a cobbler pie all day long, then that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna fix her a cobbler pie every day. And so we would put her medicines in the cobbler pie because that was the only way we could get her to take her medicine. And she finally got to where she wouldn't even take the cobbler.
Wow. Oh, okay. Then moving forward. Okay. Afterwards, Sharman has passed away.
Yeah.
She didn't want to accept Sharman passing away.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember her saying, "Brian, they lying to me. They saying Sharman is gone." I was like, "Well, Mom, and we'll talk about it later." But that was one of her hardest ordeals to deal with. Was the passing of my wife, and so she finally accepted it. Did she?
She did.
Yeah, but she was yet coming to church.
Yeah.
And so moving along, so we ended up taking her to the hospital, to OU Medical Hospital, and the doctor recommended comfort care, and we all was like, what's comfort care? You you have hospice care, you have comfort care. So what was your first thought when the doctor recommended hospice comfort care?
If he had, the thing that made me say okay to it was Mama had gotten very, very confused, worse than normal during that time. And I was the one there in the emergency room with her. And she was like rambling on. I mean, do you know how she just talking? She would not stop. She was just going on and on. And in the midst of her talking, I'm sitting in this room with her. She stopped and she looked at me and she said, "You know, my name is written in the Lamb Book of Life." And I said, "Yes, ma'am, it is." She said, "I don't have to cry no more. I don't have to worry about nothing no more." I said, "No, ma'am, you won't." And she went right back to rambling. Wow. Now, if she had not have done that, because they came in after she said that and said, "We really think you guys ought to do the comfort care." I didn't fight it. I did not fight it because it was like at that point I realized she had gave up. She was tired. Yeah.
Yeah, but oftentimes, when a person gives up, we yet have our faith.
Yes.
The ones on the outside.
Yes.
We say that God is a healer.
Yes.
God is a deliverer.
Yes.
God is going to bring it out. God is going to turn this thing around.
Yeah.
But as a family, we had a team of sisters and brothers that really took great care of our mom.
Yeah.
But when you get to talking about hospice care and comfort care, can you explain the difference between hospice and comfort care? Really,
they're really the same thing. Comfort care is just simply that you're making that person comfortable in their transition. Mm-hmm. Hospice is more because some people can be on hospice for a long time, and then all of a sudden they get better.
Right.
So hospice is more of just, it's still the same thing as home health, but is where they are not doing anything that would try to prolong that person staying here. If I just put it like that, like they're not doing anything extra unless that person's so it's like having an infection or something. Then they have it's okay. I put it like this: hospice is where the primary care doctor is no longer in charge. They have their own doctors that are in charge and provides the care for that person. If that patient needs an antibiotic, if they need medications, that home health doctor will provide.
Okay, so what was your expectations, of hospice going in? I mean, was it a great expectation?
No.
Or something?
It was not, because it was different than what it was years ago.
Okay.
Years ago, they had it where you actually had an aide that was there to help around the clock.
Right.
And I like that better. in the sense of, because everybody knows how we were about mama. We doted on mama. There was always going to be somebody there. But I can say, as a nurse, I thought that I could handle being the daughter and the nurse, but I could not. At the end, I could not handle that, and our family broke down because I would cry by myself at nighttime because we had got to the point that me and Cammie put a recliner in her room because I said, Cammie, if she dies during the night, I don't want her to die by herself. So there was somebody who was always there. And it was during the nighttime when it was my shift to be in there with her that I would just cry in there because I'm watching my mother die. This is not my patient. This is my mother. And it was then that I said, okay, God, I can't do this. I literally went to God. I said, I can't do it. I don't want to be the nurse. I just want to be the doctor.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Brother Jerome, you actually went through the same thing with your dad, the hospice care. So, what was your expectation going in? Because you're coming in from another state, to a facility.
It's kind of like what Sister was saying. It's almost like it wasn't 24-hour care. They kind of left him to a point of, how can I say it? If he's in pain, of course, and all that, they're in there and they're, because he would moan through the night, my father. And in the beginning, he didn't know. I don't think he really knew what he was getting into. Yeah. I think he just said, hey, he kind of accepted it, but I don't think he really kind of knew the whole ordeal or whatever. And so when I arrived there first, and then my wife and my daughter came, and then, we would be with him, but I had so many questions. It was just so many questions because I'm like, hey, is my father hungry? Can he drink? And all that, because when he was up and awake, I was giving him Coke and, letting him eat a little bit of sandwich. And they said, no, you got to slow down on the sandwich thing because he started, everything started shutting down on him. Yeah. And he would tell me, he says, Jerome, your dad is hungry. He would tell me that. Wow. So from me, I'm caring for my father. I'm like, I'm gonna feed my father. And so it was kind of like I was wrestling against what they were telling me and then what my dad wants and all. And so it was just it's a whole different experience. Because basically you're watching your loved one slip away slowly but surely. That's what's happening.
That right there is hard because you feel defenseless.
Yes.
You feel like that you're just sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah.
But the purpose of a hospice is just to make them comfortable.
That's it.
No expectation of life. No. And at some point, it seemed like that they are trying to shorten it quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah. And our mom stayed on hospice for 3 weeks.
Uh-huh. And they were very surprised. And the thing is because we were in control. Mm-hmm. That was what made the difference, because when they wanted us to give her the morphine more often, we was like, we're not going to do that. And we reassured them that, listen, she's going to die when it's time for her to die. We're not going to push it, so it wasn't until probably the week before that she took it more often, but we still didn't do it like they wanted it.
Right.
Because they wanted to give it like every 2 to 3 hours. Mama only took it maybe 2 or 3 times a day. That was it.
And then going back to the eating part and drinking, because she wasn't eating, she wasn't drinking, and this right here went on for what, at least 2 weeks straight.
Yeah.
No eating, no drinking.
That was even when we brought her home, she had already been 2 weeks without eating. So she went over a month.
Yeah.
And like that was nothing but God, because even the nurses were saying, we never seen anything like this where someone is still alive and have went a month without eating or drinking.
Yeah.
And I remember at one point the week before she died, and I went in to turn her, and I said, "Mom, I'm getting ready to turn you." And she looked up to the ceiling, and it was like the angels came to get her. And she said, "Wait, wait." And I said, "Mama, who are you talking to?" And she was shaking her head to them and telling them, "No, wait." And I just thought, so it's different things like that I struggle with.
Yeah, yeah.
That just several things that went on in that period of her preparing for her transition, that things that she said to me, things that she did that I knew it was from God, that she said to me, that even in her confusion, she was still prophesy in ministry to me. So, that's how you can't make me believe that there's not a God, because even in her confusion, she would stop that confusion and she would come back to her senses and say something to me.
Yeah, and then her thing prior to this was, Lord, I want to finish the race.
Yes.
She was just so
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
finish the race.
Yeah.
And moving forward, she more or less tried to tell us,
Yeah.
hey, I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to die. I'm ready to transition.
Yeah.
But even through that, no one wants to hear that. Going back to your faith and going back to that love that you have for that person. And it's a hard pill to swallow when a person tell you that I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And
because she kept saying, even when she was at the hospital, she kept saying, "I want to go home. I want to go home." And different ones was like, "I don't want Mama to die at home." I'm like, it's her home. If she wanted to die at home, she could die at home.
So let me ask you this. So caring for our mother, which went on what, 2 years? 3 years.
3 years.
Oftentimes, it puts a strain on marriages, puts a strain on relationships, and put a strain on family members because everyone has something to do at a certain time, and oftentimes you can get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But in my case, there, Charmin was just she was just so supportive of me checking on my mom, to the point that a lot of things she did share with me about her health.
Yeah.
And, I was like, man, but she really loved my mom. And so coming to me, there wasn't a strain. I just felt like that I should have spent more time
with
my wife.
Yeah.
If I would have known, she was going to go before my mom.
Yeah.
But I always thought that my mom was going to go before Charmin. So I felt like that I had time to come back, and share. Yeah, so sometimes you feel that that guilt, that blaming. What if I could have did this? What if I should have did this? What if? So give me some of the things that you dealt with, as far as the guilt, if any.
Oh yeah, plenty. And so one of the things that I really deal with is because it's probably about two that really I'm better, but when she first passed away, one of them was guilt of the days that I didn't do well in caring for her, in the sense of frustration, because of when you're dealing with someone that has dementia, Alzheimer's, you don't each day you don't know what you're gonna get. And so those days that I failed in not being patient and not responding in love. But the thing is that I would always apologize to Mama, and she would apologize to me too. So those kind of things come into my head, and I know the thing is, he's talking about faith. We are human, we're flesh. And even though I know that my mom, our mother, was well pleased in us caring for her it's still we're human in that side. Those things pop up and it'll try to make you feel bad and it'll try to take you down and break you. And so I have had to teach myself to give myself grace, continue to give myself grace. So I've gotten better. Another thing is, 3 years of doing this and you're working a full-time job, you still have all the other things that you're involved in that you're doing, and it's a weight, and it can be a turn that you feel like you've been pulled in every way from different people in your family. The frustration between siblings getting into it about this and that, just so many things. And I remember going to God and I said, God, you have me in different assignments. I said, you see me down here. I said, Mama is an assignment. I'm caring for her. I'm trying to be a good wife. You got me doing this over here for you to bring souls to Christ. I said, I want to do what you want me to do. I want to be that obedient daughter, but I'm asking you to show me, teach me how to prioritize. I said, because as long as Mama is still here, I will continue to show up. So now I'm playing with the guilt thing of, okay, so did he take her because I prayed that, because I was struggling? And I said, God, I wanted you to heal her. I didn't want you to take her. I wanted you to heal her. If you could have just healed her. But the thing is I've never lost my faith in God. I've never lost hope in God. If anything, I feel like my faith and my hope in God has increased in this for me not to be where I'm at the point that I can't get up. Right. That I can still, do I struggle? Oh yeah, I struggle. Do some days I feel like I'm just going to fall out in tears? Yeah, but I'm better than I was on day one.
Okay. Hola. Okay. If a person desires to pass away, do you honor those desires? All right. Or do you continue to pray for healing? Do you honor? Do you continue looking at God like, Lord?
It's like the example when I remember you and I spoke that night in the evening, and you asked me, you said, what is what does your father want? I remember you asking me that. And then I said, my father, he wants to go. I remember he told me this. He says, if I'm in this hospital, he says, basically, he wasn't the religious type of person. He just said, let everything be everything. And that's when I said, just pray for peace and comfort for my father. And I do believe, because I go over this with my wife. We always go with these conversations. What do you want if something happens to us and all? And, my wife is one of those ones. She's like, I don't want no funeral. I don't want nothing. Just, what to do like that or whatever. So I do believe that we should respect of a person's what they want. I believe that or whatever. And even though, like you said, we're flesh, we cry, no, you're going to have this. You're going to have this funeral. People will cry. Listen, that's how I'm like, no, and all that. But I do believe we have to respect of what the person wants and all or whatever, even though we want them to stay here and we want them to be better and all that. But they have other plans. Some folks are just tired. Yeah. They're just tired and all that. And sometimes I do believe that our loved ones, I think sometimes they may think that they're estranged from us taking care of them. I was coming from Oklahoma to North Carolina. My dad would always say, he was like, hey, he said, you don't have to come out here. You don't have to come out here to take care of all that. But he says, you got a job, you got a family and all those things. But, I do believe my father, he wanted to, I guess he wanted to leave. I believe he wanted to go.
Okay. So the same question. Yeah, when a person when a person has a desire to pass on, and they have openly stated that, please let me go. Do you continue praying? Do you just leave it at that and be like, okay, I honor that?
With Mama, I said, Lord, whatever's your will.
Yeah.
That's what I prayed. I did. It wasn't until the day before that I took it to a whole nother level because I didn't, because I realized, okay, she's gonna die.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, let's get the scriptures out. Let's read. Da, da, da. And my kids was just, it wasn't until like a week later, they was like, Nikki said, I told Christian, I don't even know how to tell her mama. No, because it, just watching her, to me, she was dying really bad. Brian wasn't really there because, we understood he couldn't be there because he was still grieving for Sharma. But, it was bad. She was dying bad. And I just said, okay, God, I can't do it. Please, 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 please. I said, can we go get the scriptures? We for to read these scriptures and we for to pray. She said, I just looked at Mom and I just said, okay, we're going to read these scriptures.
Yeah. Yeah, because it comes to a point, that you do have to release that person.
Yes.
And that's the hardest thing, because no one wants to see their loved one transition or to be in that moment, and see that, and oftentimes when they are in that moment, it plays over and over inside your head, throughout the night, different days, going back to the guilt, should I pray, what could I have done, to keep them here?
Yeah.
So moving on, can you go to the next slide though? But today we're talking about caring for a parent that's on hospice. So we're already talking about the initial, and let's go back to that. Where do I go from here? And that is something that I stand on. It's like, where do I go from here? And I believe, that I'm in a season now, where God is showing me, okay, where I'm taking you to, because oftentimes, the confusion, the numbness, you feel numb, you feel like there's no direction. Which direction can I take? Going back to our mom, here was something routine around the clock.
Mm-hmm.
So after a person passes, your routine changes. The daily care, the phone calls, the visits. So it's a complete void there, where okay, I got all this time now, and it's like, where do I go from here? What's my new routine? What's my new pathway now? All right, you can go to the next one, please. Where do I go from here? Lord help me. Where do I go from here? But the emotional impact, you may find yourself questioning the fairness of life, struggling to understand why such a tragedy have a kid, and it's more or less it's more or less the fairness of life. Because I've seen cancer patients where God have healed them.
Yes.
And it seemed like that it wasn't no effect on them. It's like I'm still doing the same thing, it was by luck.
Yeah.
So I think I dealt with the fairness of that, here my wife was a Christian wife, woman, her desire was to live. And I thought that in a sense that it was unfair to me, because she's trying to do what is right. And so I just felt that, in that way, and I yet struggled to understand, why this happened, but it was God's will, God's perfect plan. You go to the next one. Okay, so physical pain. It's yours. I'm giving that to you. The physical impact.
So it was not until after Mama passed that my body, because you are constantly, I think you're just going on adrenaline. Out of all the children, I was the only one that was still working. Everybody else is retired. And so you're just constantly going. And it wasn't until she passed that my physical body, it showed up that it affected me, to the point that my feet hurt bad. Don't know what's going on with my feet. One day I got up, I couldn't even walk. I couldn't even put no pressure on them. Having to see about that. Just different things about my body that had never showed up before. And now I'm running tests. I'm doing this. I'm going for this. And I think as a caregiver, you are doing so well of taking care of the other person that you are not taking care of you. And this is a fact. Usually the caregiver dies before the person dies because you're doing so much of caring for them.
Right. So you more or less stop caring for yourself.
Yes.
Right.
As far as your appointments, your doctor's appointments, your checkups, your dentist appointments, because you have placed this person first. So, but I know some of the physical parts that I deal with is sleep. Sleep. I go to bed at 10:30, wake up at 12:30 on the dot every night. Did it this morning, 12:30 every day. Take Benadryl, take melatonin, 12:30. So the impact that disrupts your sleep also.
Yes.
All right, you can go to the next one. Okay, spiritual impact. I'm gonna give this to you.
Like I was saying, spiritually, it's like I'm so grateful for my faith, because it felt like, I don't know. I think with my father, it was a little different. Like I said, he wasn't. He believed in God. I mean, he believed, Church of Latter Day Saints. He gave himself to the church and all that. So he was part of a thing. But I guess I never questioned. I believe I never questioned God and all, because, like I said, I knew what my father wanted or whatever. Do I sometimes think I should have said some things, or last minute words I should have said to him? Yes, all the time. It's kind of like what we was talking about a couple of days ago, my wife and I didn't realize that when we was leaving, she said that my father said, they all said, "I love you." And he said, "I love you too." I didn't hear that. And I broke down because I didn't hear that. And she says, "Because you were so emotional at the time." But my daughter and her heard him say, "I love you," like that. At that time, I didn't think he was talking at all. So I didn't hear that. But he said it when we left. And I was like, how could I miss something like that? So I broke down. And so, I don't know. It was. So I kind of kept almost like beat myself up. Like, if I could have heard my dad say that, you know what I'm saying, and all that, and they got to hear that. So, but yeah, that's where. But I never, like I said, it doesn't mess with my faith or anything. It just, my faith is still yet strong.
Yeah. Looking back during Shaman's time, her last hour or hours or days, the doctors would come in at different times and say, "Hey, this is going on," and we challenged the doctors because our faith. Because our faith was so solid, so we don't want to hear nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
But because we felt like that was coming from a medical, approach.
All of us did.
Here you got God over the whole universe, and you thinking, okay, God is going to step in at the 11th hour.
Mm-hmm.
Just turn this thing around, But yeah, even through that, even today, God is a healer. God is yet healing people. God is yet turning situations around, So
I just want to speak on that because, and the thing is, he was not the only one. He's the husband.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we all felt that way.
Right.
When she passed away, it just like, I don't even know how to explain. I think I cried harder. Which story did I deal with Mom?
Yeah.
Because our faith was so
rock solid.
Oh my goodness. And it wasn't until we went to view her body, when everyone went to view her body. that different things started coming to me. And I was like, Kim, how did you think, even as a nurse, that she was going to make it through that?
Yeah.
But that's just how strong, even looking at her, when you said the 11th hour, I'm telling you,
right.
remember when me and Moses came, we left there and we said, oh, they're going to call us back and say, she all right.
Yeah, you know, and then going back to our father, you know, when he transitioned,
Yeah.
you know, people was in there sitting around, you know, and I remember going, you know, every time Daddy would go to the hospital, I would always say, Lord, give him one more chance, one more again, Lord, one more again. But the condition that he was in, he was paralyzed.
Yeah.
So this here would have put a strain
on our mother,
on our mom.
Yeah.
And I didn't pray that prayer, you know, because oftentimes, you know, I think we can be selfish.
Yeah.
That person is struggling, they hurting.
Yeah.
There's pain, and there's that care of where you kind of lose your, I mean, you know, where they are cleaning you.
Yeah.
So you kind of lose that dignity.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, you know, I'm ready to go. My dignity is gone, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm wholeheartely dependent upon this care here.
Yeah.
So, so seeing that there, you know, I believe at that time, you know, they're ready to go, you know, and God, he prepares that way, you know, and that channel, you know, but the way we deal with it afterwards,
yes,
is what is the key.
Yes.
Because during that time, you know, of carrying and all of that, you know, it's, I mean, you know, you
struggling days, but it's not.
We have a hope though.
Yeah. You still have a hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but once that transition period have came,
yeah,
it's like, man, this is real here.
Yeah. Reality
sets in, you know, but you still go through that numbness. You still go through that. Is this a dream?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and even with my wife, you know, it was like, okay, you know, until you get the death certificate, it's like, okay, it's over. It's over.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Okay, you know, the anxiety, just the, I don't know if y'all dealt with anxiety, but
I did it that day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Me, a couple of weeks ago, you know, I tried to go and eat by myself at the mall. So I go in there, you know, so I'm sitting there, you know, and I believe I have my food. So I went up to what's the name of that restaurant? Chick-fil-A to get a cone. And while I'm walking, you know, I just feel this overwhelming coming over me, like the walls was closing in, you know, and I felt like that I was going to pass out or die. So you know, I just left the scene, you know, got on out there. But the anxiety part, you know, it was like it was building, you know, and it's like boom, and you know, even during your grief, like you all say, we have good days, and it seems like the grief just comes out of nowhere.
Yes.
You know, it hits you and you break down, driving down the street, just crying, you just sobbing, like you're walking through the house, you just go lay on the bed, you know, just bawl out.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, grief is you know, I think a lot of people think that you can just deal with it, you know, and just blow it off, you know, but grief is for real.
It's for real.
You know, it's not something that you just take lightly, but you know, it's just something you know that can be uncontrollable.
Yeah.
Oh, you have anything else?
I want to read this because one of the things. This is a very good book. It's called The Garden Within. It's by Dr. Anita Phillips, and it's talking about emotions. And one of the things she talks about is as let me get to the part. If you have ever tried to calm down or gather yourself emotionally before you started praying so that you could come to God the right way, it's time to say no to Plato and the ways that culture distorts our view of our hearts. Disconnecting from your feelings is not an act of faith, it's an act of avoidance. The unresolved pain is still there beneath the surface, eroding your well-being. It is only our unattended sadness, anger, and fear that eventually threatens the ground of our hearts, not the feelings itself. We can absolutely stand on God's word while equally making room for authentic emotional expression and healing. Your emotional pain is not mutually exclusive with your spiritual power. Jesus showed us that.
So how can a person disconnect from grief?
When you literally you try to ignore it, you won't cry, because I had people saying stuff to me that just amaze me as Christians. Some of the things that they can just be, and it's from their own ignorance that they don't know. They really don't mean no harm. So that's why I didn't say nothing to them. But I think we there needs to be a class in the church teaching, especially for leadership. No, really, leadership, to teach them on this, what to say and what not to say. Unless that person themselves says they're in a better place, never say they're in a better place. Right. Don't say don't cry because they're in heaven. No, even Jesus knew that Lazarus was he was going to raise him up from the dead, but he still wept.
Yeah, he still wept. That's right.
He still wept.
The emotional side, the flesh side.
Yeah. Like Jesus came here on earth before he knew before he left heaven that he was going to come here on earth and be in human form.
That's right.
He came in human form to teach us how to do this. So if Jesus wept, even in the Garden of Gethsemane, go read it. It talks about all the emotions he had. Yeah. He knew the assignment before he even got here on earth. But he still sweated blood.
That's right.
Because he knew what was about to come.
Yeah, you was talking about the grief to kind of, when it comes, to back off of it. But oftentimes it comes suddenly.
Yes, it does.
And
I said, let it go.
Like I said, I'm a natural born crybaby. It is what it is.
All mama's kids are, y'all.
So when the time's gonna come, I'm gonna cry.
We all are.
But
I sit at my desk crying.
But yeah, you do find yourself. Well, I found myself saying, Lord, what is happening to me? What is going on with me? Yeah. And I began to look at the sleep patterns. I'm like, Lord, what is going on? Yeah. The eating, it's a different place. It's a different period of time, But I know that through it all, the God is yet moving me forward. We have to trust the process, and even trusting the process that we're yet going through, we have to trust the plan of action. Yeah, and trust the pathway that God has us on. Because oftentimes, my own self, I'm like, hurry up, grief, move on, grief. Yeah. But you have to go through it. But He's taking you through it. Oftentimes we want to go around it, go over it, go under it, but it's something that has to be dealt with, and so that's where I'm at there, But through prayer, and through the many people that are praying, and through the encouragement of a friend, it really helps me out.
Yeah.
So all right. So lastly, okay, so you are a counselor. And were you able to use some of the tools learned in earning your master's degree?
Yeah, because I feel like I have been using coping mechanisms all my life when I've not even been aware. And I'm being so serious about this. I can remember wanting to go for counseling for just different things. And no matter how I would try to go for counseling, I could never get a counselor. So I said, okay, God, are you wanting to get the credit for this? So I feel like pretty much all my adult life, God has taught me how to handle other things that some of my siblings still struggle with, that I can deal with. And then it's not for me. I really believe that it's God. And I think it's also for me to be of help to other people.
Okay, so you started your first counseling session. Uh, how was it?
It was actually really good. I did my first session, grief session, counseling session on last Friday. It was good. I did break down a couple of times. And so I really encourage people to take take those kind of classes that are offered, because hospice offers that free for all family members. Anytime they have cared for your loved ones, they offer it to you free. So I would advise anybody to see about that. Also, you have different sites, and we can post that, the
Okay.
different sites that will also do free grief counseling for you. There's an actual licensed counselor. But I don't think anyone should ever have to go through this alone. And I just want to take the stigma away that Christians don't go for counseling. Yes, we do.
Yeah,
We do. We can't do this alone.
that's right.
It's very difficult. And I know my faith is strong, and I am having a hard time. He talked about that routine. I'm having a hard time just doing the assignments that I know God has called me to, that I was doing even while caring for my mama. And I have a hard time just to do a Facebook Live now. I can't tell you why.
So what what would you say to the person, you know, who holds it in, who, you know, from a woman's standpoint, to say to the woman who's holding it in, you know, who's trying to be strong and who's trying to be there, you know, for different ones, you know, but in the background, you know, they are still going through, they
Suffering.
are suffering in silence. So what would you tell that woman?
I would encourage that woman to let you know you don't have to be strong. Like you don't have to be your own savior. Someone already did that for you. And I really believe that counselors have been sent by God. I do. I believe that with all my heart, that there are people who are out there who are really good at it, who are anointed by God for this. And find someone that you can trust. I would advise you not to go through your church for the counseling. I do. I mean, I got to be honest, because you want to be more comfortable. And I just
That's
think
right.
you are more comfortable with someone that doesn't know you. It allows you to be free to cry, say what you want to say, ugly cry on. But I think that it is needed, and you don't have to. You don't have to do it. You don't have to be strong.
Okay, you know, from a man's point of view, to the man, you know, who's like, I'm good. I'm not crying. I'm just taking this head on. You know, I'm strong. And, you know, I'm not a wimp. You know, so
So I was listening. My sister here. So my wife, she has she has a counseling degree, a master's degree, and so how it's funny. So my wife is the type. If I go to her and all that, she'll use her what she's been taught in college on how to cope, and sometimes I can't get with that. I'm like, girl, what you talking about and everything, you know? But she'll use that to help. But it does. It helps me out or whatever because she lost her father as well. So we both lost our fathers. So now we can relate to each other and all that. And so she shows me, you know, what needs to be done. And I think as men, you know, I think we talked about this a couple of we're taught not to show our emotions. Mm-hmm. We're taught to hold things in. But if you can find that one person that you can trust, right, that you can talk to, a brother, you know, as you know, somebody that they ain't going to be messy and tell you, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But find that person. I think that's the person you should be able to pour yourself in and let them know that you can trust them, you know, whatever you have to tell them. Yeah. So
it's definitely good. So what would you say to that person, you know, who's caring for a parent and that's on hospice right now? What would the one thing or a couple things that you would encourage them, you know, while they're dealing with this parent, you know, that's just going through?
One of the big things I really would encourage is to take time away. See if you can get close family members to come in assist because um, when you're trying to do it all yourself, it's hard watching a loved one die. It's not like a stranger's. And I thought as a nurse that I could handle it. I watched people take their last breath, but you didn't have a connection to you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I would just encourage them to find out resources, more resources of different outlets of, because we had home health, plus we had hospice, plus we had the Advantage program. So that helped us out a little bit where they couldn't stay long, but they came in and they allowed you that time away to kind of calm down or whatever and take the little time away for yourself. But I would see how I could get as many people besides just the children,
Right.
reach out to
Right.
family, close friends to come in. I think that's one of the things that we really failed on, is we wanted it only us. Yeah. And it wasn't until that it really got towards the end that
we needed some serious help.
we needed some serious help.
Yeah, and to that person, who feel like that they can do it all.
No, you can't.
It comes to a point, with God, He does send help.
Yes.
So it's just, but oftentimes we'll turn it down. Well, I'm good and all that,
Yes.
but yeah, it pays to have that assistance, that second, third, fourth person, to come in and relieve.
Yeah.
But already in our closing session on tonight, do y'all have anything that you would like to add to this right here?
I would just say, also take our time. One of the things that really helps me, even when I was caring for mom, and even now, I actually take scriptures and I use the scriptures and write prayers. And those prayers help me because I can, Psalms is really a good one. David, he how he be writing, and you take those Psalms and you can write your own prayers from them. And then I would just, after I write my prayer, I would say, Lord, this is my prayer on today. And then I would read that prayer to God, and I would ask Jesus, I said, can you take this request before our Heavenly Father? And if it be thy will, grant my request. So take God's word and write your prayers. Do not lose hope. And like he was talking about, because I had a lot of even co-workers who would say, Kim, I'll come and stay with your mom while you get away. You don't have to pay me nothing. I never took them up on it. So when God sends people your way to help you, let them.
Yeah, because oftentimes we suffer in silence.
Yes.
But I think my point today is like I don't want to suffer in silence anymore.
Yeah.
Check on me.
Yeah.
That's right.
Call me. I'm not talking about no relationships. I ain't talking about nothing like that. I ain't talking about no hookup or nothing like that. I'm talking about just keeping it real, but
It's a damn rainbow.
but friends, friends, not no potential like yeah. Well, I'll stop right there. But yeah, to get that assistance, that assurance.
Yeah.
I thank God for the people that God has put inside my life to come and check on me to make sure are you eating, are you sleeping? So that's well with me. But anything else you might want to add?
Yeah, just making sure that you're taking care of yourself. That's the biggest thing. Your health, watching your health, even through this, like she was saying, it has an effect mentally and physically. I know my blood pressure was messing with me. When my father was passing away, and it still does, because if I think about something over and over again, but I think that's the biggest thing, and making sure that you have a support system.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing, a support system, and that you trust.
Yeah.
You trust people. So
I think also, we have a fear of forgetting that person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's like you're yet trying to keep them alive inside your mind, but yet still, you still going through that same cycle, so different people, they heal at different time frames,
That's right.
and some is quick, some is years, some never comes.
Yeah.
But we have to yet be encouraged. And in our closing on the day, that if you experience the loss of a loved one and would like to share your story, please contact me at 405-243-6212. Text or call me. Or you can email me at Brian Pollard Brian Pollard 10 at yahoo.com. Facebook, Brian A. Pollard. You can tag me, you can request me, or you can follow me. But on next week, uh, our guest will be Brother Art. He lost his son at the age of 15 years old. And so I was able to hear a portion of his testimony on today. But this man right here, he just knocked it out of the park, because some mornings, I wake up and deal with certain things, so God, he brought this man, into my pathway, well, just came together, and the advice that he gave me, the encouragement, the pathways that he was on, it really did encourage me. Here, this man, he's 50 years old, 2 heart attacks,
Oh wow.
lost his eye, you know, but all the things that he's going through, and he yet said that my faith wasn't rattled or
Yeah.
changed.
It didn't waver.
It didn't waver, So I was like, man, this right here is really a powerful testimony. But once again, we just like to thank you for being a part of this podcast. But before we end this podcast, Ashley, do anyone have any questions that was on the screen? Okay, no questions on the screen. But we will be here next week, same time, 6 o'clock. So if you would like to be a part of our audience, hey man, come out and be a part of our audience. Come in and join with us. But this is something that we will be doing every Tuesday with different people giving their story on grief. So it's all righty then. So this time, God bless you and God keep you. And we see you next week at 6 o'clock on Tuesday.